hello, and welcome to the Coaxum Report. I'm super excited to have you on today. I have an amazing guest to share with you guys. Hi, Anna. How are you today?
You so much for having me. I'm so excited to finally meet you.
I'm excited to have you on the show. It's super exciting. I know you
Thank
have an
you.
amazing book that you're going to be sharing with us. So
Mhm.
I'm really super excited about that. Welcome you to the Coaxum Report. Of course, you can listen to us all over the country as well as internationally. We are on Apple. You can catch us on Roku, Amazon TV. I encourage folks to download the app at ourtv.network. And of course, as you're listening to us here, you can also listen to us simultaneously on WSTX Bloomberg on the radio. So folks are going to be listening to you today. So I'm excited to share all that you do. And just welcome to the Coaxum Report.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to finally meet you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So I want to talk to you a little bit about, I bring guests on and I try to get my guests to talk about some barriers, best practices, big ideas.
Mhm.
I want you to talk about a little bit about what you're doing in your space as far as small business is concerned. I
Mhm.
want you to talk about how you got there. Like, who is Anna Red? Anna Red, wait, hold on, pause, right?
Thank you so
Let's
much.
talk about that. Let's talk about who is Anna Red.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm a square peg that just doesn't fit in a circle
Yeah, well,
hole, you know?
that's great because you've done some phenomenal things because you don't fit in a circle, right?
Right, right, right. And that's the thing that people like us have a place.
That's
And
right.
we end up having to become entrepreneurs because our relationships in the workplace in corporate America just don't really fit because there's a wild gene in us, I guess, you know?
I think it's more than that, though. I think that we see things going on. We realize how we show up on the world, and if we're being authentic, we're being our authentic selves. Then we have to change things, and we have to make sure others are included. Like you've been able to bring people along, you've been
Mhm.
able to encourage and inspire, and all that you're doing. So tell my listening audience, who is Anna Red? Like, how did you get to the space that you're in right now? How did you get to not fit inside the box? So you created your own box, right?
Right.
You're like, yeah, I'm not in that box. No worries. I got some stuff to do, right? So tell our
Yes.
listening audience a little bit about how you got to where you
How
are.
I got there. Well, actually, my journey began when I was a school teacher.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, yes. And I think that the friend we have in common told you a little bit about that, that I would actually inspire these young people to just live their
Mhm.
authentic lives as artists. I was a
That's right.
drama teacher. I got them into schools,
Not
someone
only did she get them into school, she's being so
yes, yes,
nice. We're gonna let her be modest though. We're gonna let her tell that story and then we're gonna tell the other story.
but anyway, that was something that I really enjoyed. But my theater was always experimental,
Yes.
and that was not appreciated by everyone, despite my being able to get people full scholarships to go to school. But
Wow.
anyway, you
See,
know,
but see again, that was a part of you saying, this isn't really working. So let's do some things that work. Let's try this, and even
right,
if it doesn't work, then that means that is something else we can try. We're not gonna try that again,
that's
right?
right, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you have to stop banging your head against the wall. You
absolutely.
gotta go through it,
That's
or
right.
find a door.
That's right.
So
Or
anyway,
a door. Create a
luckily
door.
I was married to a really wonderful man that said, "Hey, do something else. I got you."
And see,
So
and
that's
that's
when I
that's
started.
amazing that you were
Yeah,
able
yeah,
to take that leap of faith. And I can tell that you still love it because it's like in your face, like the passion is in your face. You're smiling from ear to ear.
yeah.
And I think that that's what I want my listening audience to hear about. I want to hear about that Anna Red, like that person that shows up authentically every day to do the things that you love to do because you know they're the right things to do, right? And so she's talking about, I just know she just put them in her car and drove them up to school. It's like, okay, you're going to apply. They're like, oh, they don't do it that way. Oh, okay, well, here we are.
Yeah,
And lo and behold, they got in, right? So That's the other part. Like you tried it, right? If it didn't work, then you try something else.
Well, that's life, right?
Absolutely.
If
Yeah,
you have a goal, you have to try. And then if whatever you try doesn't work, you try something else.
that's
It's
right.
kind of like throwing spaghetti against the wall. I know
Something's gonna stick, right?
something's going to stick. And the thing is to have the flexibility and the lack of ego to say, okay, I really wanted to do it this way, but it's not working. We're going to
That's
try
right.
something else.
That's right. So
You know?
one thing about young people, so I teach at Mega Rivers College, right?
Nice.
And I'm also in the DOE schools. I have martial artists, steel pan, cheerleaders, DJs in the school system. They're doing lunchtime, they're at after school programming, and of course on Saturdays. And so the one thing about young people is that you will make an impression on them
Hmm.
that can really change the trajectory of their lives. And that's what you were able to do, right? And you're being modest about it, but I love it, right? But it's just like my cheerleading squad, my cheerleading instructor. So she was going to switch some things up with some dates. And the kids were like, no, you can't leave us. You can't leave us. And I was like, whoa. And she was only there for like 4 weeks and they were already attached. But
Yeah.
that's the kind of relationships that we want to build. And we want to make sure that those are positive relationships,
Mhm.
encouraging relationships, because our kids are looking for something, our young people are looking for something to hold on to.
Right.
And so we offer that to them when we get in the classroom. And I have students that follow me. They're like, okay, I'm gonna go to what are you teaching next semester? I'm like, you don't need that. I'm going anywhere. I'm like, you don't need that class. Like it's an
Right.
elective. I'm coming anyway because you're teaching a class. So it always amazes me the impact that we as teachers, trainers, parents, aunties, have on young people. It
Mhm.
just always amazes me. And so I commend you for that because not everyone has the patience to be that to them, right? And so
Right.
that's why I'm always like when Elsa told me you were going to be able to be on the show, I was like, yes, fellow educators to be on the show. I'm excited, right?
Yeah.
Because I know what that takes. Like
Mhm.
I know what that takes. That takes a lot of us going in our own pockets. That takes a lot of us thinking
Yeah.
outside the box. And you
Mhm.
said you don't fit into the square. You don't fit into the box, and so this is square peg, right? It's all of
Mhm.
that. But
Right.
in the end, what really matters is that impact that you made in that young person's life that's going to change their trajectory forever. And not only does it change their trajectory, it changes the trajectory of their entire family. So,
Mhm.
like, you don't think about it, but if you change a young person, you're changing mom and dad, siblings, community, anybody that they come in contact with,
Mhm.
they're going to be able to tell you that. And so I want to thank you definitely for
Oh.
doing that. So tell me about the art. Tell me, because I see this wonderful piece behind you right now. So tell me.
Oh. Oh. Well, my home is filled with art, and it's all original art by artists I
Nice,
know.
nice,
And
nice.
the piece behind me is by Ignacio Font,
Okay, that's
who lives in
beautiful.
Miami, who's also an educator.
Nice,
Yes.
nice,
Yes.
nice.
And yeah, and he and his wife have a studio where they take in resident artists and they groom them and help them grow. So, I mean, it's we become a tribe, people like you and I
Yeah,
and
we do.
Ignacio and his wife. We become a tribe because we're vibrating at that same level.
That's right.
And what you were saying earlier just reminded me of Maya Angelou, who I had the pleasure of meeting a few
Me
times.
too.
Oh goodness, yeah. It's not it, and if you think about it as an educator, as a parent, it's not so much what you say; it's what you do.
That's right.
It's
And
what
how you
the
make people
children are
feel also.
observing.
And how you
Yeah,
make people feel with what you do.
hmm
Yeah. It makes a big difference.
absolutely. It's what you're doing, how it makes other people feel, and children are always observing. They are like little sponges.
Sponges. Yes. Tell
Yes.
me about it. I have a 5-year-old, right?
Hmm.
So I have the pleasure of and the honor of raising my great nephew. I had him
Oh,
since he's 6 months. He's 5 now, right? And so he goes to karate. So I was working out a lot when I first got him. And so I'm always like with these sweats on and I will pull him up and I'll be working out or whatever. And I realized every time he puts on pants that look like sweats, he's pulling them up to his knees. And I'm pulling him down saying, why you got your pants up? And then ding, ding, ding. He's following you. Like
right.
he was little. So you didn't think he was paying attention.
Mhm.
But now he cannot wear a pair of pants with elastic in the bottom without pulling them up. I'm like, little boy, that is not how you wear that. But
Right.
but I wore it all the time, and it was just so it was so unconscious. I was doing it on an unconscious level. I was
Right.
doing it because it was comfortable to me. And
Mhm.
now he's like, he's a sponge. He just picked it right on up. And so you're
Right.
absolutely right. And those are, but it's the things we don't want them to pick up. It's what they pick up. I'm like, pick up the reading all the time. Can you do that? Can you do that for me? Can you read
Right.
all the time as
Right.
much as auntie? Read as much as auntie. He's like, nah, I'm just fine.
Well, he wants to be the cool you.
So yeah, you're absolutely right. They are sponges. So what are you doing with all these beautiful little sponges that you're molding into these great individuals? But first let's back up. So what are some of the barriers? So one thing you said, you had a super amazing husband that was like, I got you, right? So
Mhm.
you can go and do this thing that you need to do because it's all inside of you and I want you to be great, right? So
Right.
he encouraged you to go out and do that. So what is that? What is the thing that just was like, all right, I'm an educator, but there was a
Okay,
next.
this is a little embarrassing. It was the 90s, and I started a little business because of the internet and stuff, creating home offices because people were starting to work in that space, and also setting up computers in people's small businesses.
But how is that embarrassing? That was
Oh,
essential. That was
no, it's
essential.
embarrassing because I created a lot of those really ugly websites. You know those
That's another
horrible
story.
websites in the 90s? Yeah, I was
Yeah,
part
but
of it.
we didn't have the technology that we had
I
today, and
know. It
so
was
and
just so
yeah,
bad.
but so in full disclosure, you made some dreams come true, and so
Yeah.
don't look at the aesthetics.
It was horrible. It was like mud green back then.
Yeah,
It was
but
really
again,
bad.
we
It
were
was
all
bad.
learning.
Yeah.
We were all just getting on. Now it's a necessity.
Mhm.
If you don't have a website, they're like, "Who are you? A serious business?" Right? So no, but I'm excited that you were able to make those dreams come true because a lot
Mhm.
back in the 90s, I didn't know many people that had websites, right?
Yeah.
And so for you to be able to do that and to set up those home offices,
Mhm.
is a huge thing for them because you're able to help them get their footing in a space where they felt like it was an office within their home that they can do business and build wealth. And
Mhm.
so
Right.
that in itself was a dream and a vision that you made into reality. And you also made others' dream come into reality with that. So I want to commend you for that.
Thank you.
Those are small steps, and we sometimes when we look back at a lot of the things that we did in our business back then, we're like, why
Mhm.
did we choose da da da? But it was that time, and everything is in its season, right? So now
Mhm.
you know better, you do better, right? So now
Right.
you're in a better space. Like, look at us, like you're in Florida, and I'm over here in New York, and
Mhm.
we're sharing the same space, the same
I
energy.
know.
We're
It's
on the
amazing.
Coaxum Report. We're talking about these super amazing things that you're doing and encouraging others that are watching
Mhm.
us to do what they set out to do, like to follow their dreams, to be tenacious, to just do it, and
Right.
I had the pleasure yesterday of training some foster care professionals.
Mhm.
And I had a young person after. He was like, "Wait, so you're teaching Brooklyn entrepreneurs?
Mhm.
You're teaching this Brooklyn entrepreneurship program?
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking about becoming a small business, but I'm not sure." And I had another one say, "I'm thinking about going back to school, but I'm not sure." I said, "You know what? Do it, because at the end of the day, you're going to be the same age with your business or without your business, with your degree or without your degree. So no regrets. I'm on team no regrets. Let's do it." And
Yeah.
even if it doesn't work out, we can pivot and do something else. But you should definitely not sit around thinking I shoulda, coulda, woulda, right?
Right.
Because time is
Exactly.
of the essence.
Exactly. You have to throw yourself at life.
That's right.
And actually, that reminds me of how I used to. I ran a networking group one time, and I'm
Mhm.
actually very good at networking. And there was a time that I was just at a coffee shop with my mom, and have her. I hope she rests in peace. But we were just in the outside cafe, and I saw a woman passing by that looked really interesting. And I actually write the account in my book that I'm going to send you. Okay. Um,
Okay.
I actually start following her, and I said, "Excuse me, ma'am." I said, "You seem fascinating to me. I want to know everything about you. Please start wherever you'd like."
Wow.
You see,
Bold.
right now, that would be seen as something very
Strange.
negative. Yeah,
Strange.
I think
Yeah.
that people would see that as accosting somebody or stalking them or something, but I did it so naturally. And, I wasn't trying to come on to her. I just really wanted to know what she did because she just seemed so together. And I just loved her stride. And I wanted to know what she did professionally, what she thought about, I mean, what she ate for breakfast, everything. I
Right.
just wanted to know everything about her. And that actually has been my secret sauce in business
Nice.
because I really want to know what people are about and what
Right.
they're doing
So
and why and what makes them tick.
that
Yes,
curiosity is your secret sauce. I love it.
yes, yes.
I love it. And the thing I love about it also, because that means you're confident and you're bold and you're not afraid to ask for what you need. And as women, a lot of times we're afraid to ask. We're like, I'm like, just ask. I don't know. What do you mean? What do you mean? You went to an event and you sat in the back of the room? No, thank
Right,
you. If I'm going to an event, I'm going to the front of the room. And if it's a table, I'm going to sit at the table. I'm not going to
right.
be in the back of the room like a fly. And I'm not going
Mhm,
to not sit at the table because I'm here for a reason. I'm going to be intentional about my interactions. And so I'm going to
mhm.
sit at this table and we're going to make this thing do what it do. What are they going to tell you? Move? Well, it's not like you've never heard that before. So what are you risking by not getting everything you need from every encounter? Be intentional.
Mhm.
Be intentional. And
Yeah,
you were
and she
intentional
didn't
about
think I
it. You're
was
like,
a
I want to, you fascinate me. I'm intentional about this conversation. I want to know what you do. I want to know how you do it. I want to know how I get some of that. Whatever that is that you got,
yes,
I want to get that.
yes,
I want to get that. I want to share that. Right. So
yes,
that's so cool. That's
yeah,
so,
and
so cool. And you talked about it in your book. So tell us, well,
yeah.
wait, I got to go back. So barriers. We still didn't really, what were some of the barriers? All right, I'm starting my business. My husband said he got me, but there's some things that I need to do. You're in a space that is different than being an educator, right? So
Mhm.
there is no real 9 to 5 in a business. Like you're running your business every single
Right.
day for whatever hours it takes. So tell me
Mhm.
about some of the barriers that happen as a result of you taking a risk, stepping out on faith, and doing a thing that you love.
Well, I think it cost me my marriage.
Really?
Yeah, I think it did because I started to travel a lot.
So the traveling.
I was traveling a lot. He was feeling lonely. We drifted. He's still a wonderful person and
And guess what? A lot of people don't meet wonderful partners in life. And
yeah,
so, as
yeah.
long as you guys are still partners and friends, I count that as a win win. Because let me tell you something, folk, I know folk that are like, I don't speak to that person. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But you can say with a smile on your face, he's wonderful. He's a wonderful
He's a
person.
wonderful
And he
person.
gave you an opportunity to step out on faith, which is very difficult. Also,
Mhm.
I had an experience where I was working for the district attorney's office here in Brooklyn, and I was very young when I started working for the district attorney. And so I was in the community relations bureau, and then I escalated up to administrative manager and was helping to run the bureau. And someone asked me to submit my resume to Senator Schumer for to
Mhm.
go and be his deputy state director. And I was like, I'm gonna submit it. Let's do it. So I put it in, and they had been looking for someone, I understand, for about 2 years, and I came in on the end of this thing. And they called me. They called me, and I was like, "Oh yeah, great!" But then I was like, "Wait, because in my job as community relations, I had access to seniors and young people, and I got the 1 o'clock in the morning calls when Kool-Aid got locked up, and I was helping a grandparent with the grandkids, and all the things and wonderful things I got to do. I was like, wait a minute, I don't want to leave my tribe. I
Mhm.
don't want to leave these relationships. What are they going to do, right? Like, how are they going to survive past what we've established in the community? And it's great.
Mhm.
And so the boss called me in at the time, DA Hines, Joe Hines, and he said, he used to call me kid, hey kid, how's everything going? He said, come, they do a little exit interview back then. So he
Mhm.
called me in the office, and we're sitting down. He's excited. He said, "Oh, this is a great opportunity, kid. Your truck is great, and he does all these wonderful things, and you're going to be in a
Mhm.
good space, and you cover so much more space." And I'm sitting there, and I guess I must have had a look on my face. And he goes,
Mhm.
"What's wrong, kid?" And I didn't say anything because I'm like, "Do I say something? Like I don't want to be ungrateful." And he says to me, he said, "What do you think? You're not gonna like it?" And I kind of nudged that, yeah. And he said,
Mhm.
"Well, you know what? Chuck Schumer is a kingmaker, and you're going to be fine.
Mhm.
You know, he said, you're going to be,
Wow.
and I said, but what about my young people? What about my, he said, you're going to touch more people nationally and internationally than you've ever touched here in Kings County. He said, you're going
Mhm.
to be fine. And he said, you know what? If you don't like it, as long as I'm the DA of Brooklyn, you will always have a job.
Nice.
And I stepped out on faith because I knew here I was, single parent, two children. What if I don't like it? Then I'm stuck. And, you know, I was feeling ways. But
Right.
he gave me the confidence and that that leaping board to kind of go there and do the thing that I wouldn't have done had he not encouraged me to do it. And so that's why when you said that about your husband, I'm like, that's great because I know so many opposite
Right.
situations where folk are like, but you had a chance to
Absolutely.
do that thing. And I'm proud and I'm happy. And I know that feeling because I remember walking out his office feeling confident that he said what he meant and he meant what he said.
Mhm.
And I gave it all I had. And let me tell you, things I was able to accomplish in that office, I was invited to submit my resume to the White House and work for the first Black president of the United
Wow.
States of America.
How wonderful.
And wouldn't have been able to do it if I'd have been scared, if
Mhm.
I'd have been stuck, right? So I'm encouraging all the listening audience that's listening to us today, both nationally and internationally. Think about Anna when you want to do that thing, but you're just not sure about it. Think about my story when you feel like there's something else that's calling you out there, but you're feeling a little reluctant for whatever reason. Understand that you're going to land where you need to land at, and you're going to get the support and encouragement that you need. You attract what you need when you're in
Mhm.
the right direction. And so that synergy and that energy is really, really real. So be encouraged by it. So thanks for sharing that because I'm telling you, that's an amazing testimony. That
Yes.
really
Thank
is an
you.
amazing testimony. Okay, so now we're out here and we're doing the home offices and we're traveling and
Uh-huh.
we're making these small businesses because remember, small business is the backbone of our community, right?
Right.
So you're able to start these small offices and set up these computer systems and do these websites. And so tell me about some of those stories. Like tell me about some of those experiences. Like what was that like? You know, being a woman, because back in the 90s, I don't think I remember many web designers that were women. I remember lots of web designers, but I don't think I remembered a lot that were women that were especially traveling.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I was one of the few women and also people of color that
Yeah,
was in that space at all, in
right.
technology at all. And I mean, where I studied, where I got my master's degree and everything, there were a lot of Latino women, but they were mostly housewives, very dedicated to their home. I really broke that ceiling
Hmm.
um,
Wow.
for culturally,
Yeah.
which now, people don't even think about it. But there were very few people
Yeah, that's what I
that
mean.
were from like traditional cultures doing what I was doing.
That's right.
And actually, I got I had a lot of harsh judgment, even just from my family,
Oh yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
my sister, who's no longer with us, she used to say, "Oh, you have drinks and dinner with men, and that's like the language of love." And I'm there like, no, the man
That's
in my
work.
life is at home.
That's work.
The man of my life is at home. There's no funny
Right.
business going on. Not that there isn't on the road, because there is, but
But that's not your story, right?
that's not who I am.
Yeah,
That's not
that's
who
not
I
your
am, and it's
story.
never been who I am. But the judgment is there, especially when you come from a certain culture.
Yeah,
A lot of the judgment is there, and it's too bad. It's unfortunate.
it is
But
unfortunate, but you were able to do it. You were able to
Mhm.
break that glass ceiling in your culture, in your time, in your space, right?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
that's to be commended. You know, I remember working. Virgin Islands was one of my spaces, and so was Puerto Rico,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Ooh, so I used to talk in my business about some of the barriers, and the barriers were like, I was afraid to tell my family that I wanted to start my own business because they told me to get a real job.
Oh, yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah, real job. I'm like, but this is a real job. Now you're taking care of your entire family with this job that wasn't a real job. How does that
Yeah.
work,
Yeah.
right? But it's culture, like
Yeah.
um, and I say it too for my like family believes that a government job is stability. And that
Hmm.
was the thing back then. In the 90s, if you got a good government job, you're gonna have a stable life and you'll have and so they look at it as you're gonna have a steady income. They're not trying to really kind of rain on your parade. They're just trying to quote unquote shake you back into reality to let you know that thing over there that you're testing in the water is not going to give you security, right?
Right.
But this thing right here is going to give you security. And now look, government's jobs are not as secure as
Right.
they were, or that factory job isn't as secure as it was back then. But if you take that leap of faith and you're able to gain your own security and independence at the same time.
Mhm.
And so want to commend you for that too, because that was not in our culture. It's not, that's
No.
frowned upon. That's frowned
No,
upon.
you get a lot of judgment.
Yeah. But you were able to push through that because you are a tenacious woman, and happy Her Story Month, right? So not just history,
That's
it's
right.
her story, right? Happy
That's
Women's
right.
History Month this month. And this is a great time for us to be having this conversation because
Mhm.
all of those women that are out there that are Black and brown or thinking about doing the things that we've done and are continuing to do, I want them to be encouraged by it. And yeah, you may have quote unquote harsh judgment, but this is your life and you only
Right.
get one. So if you don't live your life, if you let others live your life, then how do you live? You're not living, right?
Right.
So I encourage you to live your life,
Yeah.
even when life
Know
is
who
life,
you are.
even when life is life. So now we're in this space and you're traveling and you're not, it's not many women out there doing what you're doing culturally, traditionally. It just isn't. Now you're moving past this barrier. So tell me some of the best practices. Like, what are some of the things that you did to kind of sustain you in that space to be able to get you to do what you were able to do? First of all, I'm so sorry. We gotta take a quick break. I've gone
Okay.
over. I know my producer's like, what are you doing? We're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back. We're gonna talk about some best practices when we come back.
All right.
All right.
I used to watch BET, MTV, VH1, now I watch Tempo. Soca, Calypso, Reggae Dance Hall. Don't stall, better get tuned in to the tempo. Don't have cable, they got an app. Go to your app store, download that. Whether it's tourism, cuisine, or the social scenes, if it ain't Tempo, it's a rap. Who got the Caribbean views? Tempo. It's the latest in Caribbean news. Tempo. You tryna cook Caribbean food? Tempo. You know they got the music videos too. Tempo. Who got the Caribbean views? Tempo. It's the latest in Caribbean news. Tempo. You tryna cook Caribbean food? Tempo. You know they got the music videos too. Tempo.
Today we're taking a little vacation on the west end of St. Croix, visiting a seaside restaurant called the Beachside Cafe here at Sandcastles on the Beach.
The atmosphere is just wonderful.
You just feel very welcome when you're here.
Hi!
I'd like to introduce Chris and Ted, who are the owners of Beachside Cafe and also Sandcastles on the Beach. This is amazing!
Thank you.
Sandcastle on the Beach is quiet and friendly, relaxing.
I often entertain guests, and this is the one place I always try to bring people.
Tell us a little bit about the hotel.
Well, the hotel is a 25-room hotel. We have 10 different room types within that. We also have, of course, our greatest asset, the ocean out there, which our side of the island is very calm typically. So it's the best swimming beach and also great for snorkeling.
And just walking and doing a nice walking beach tour.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Best beach access is right here, so we love them.
And we're also fortunate we have just up the way Sandy Point National Park, and then Frederickstead Town is just a mile away. And so we're really fortunate to be in this perfect spot.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Coaxum Report. I'm super excited. I have Anna Red on the report today, telling us a lot about her experience, her journey. And when we broke, we were getting ready to talk about some of the best practices that Anna is able to share with us today. Anna, talk to us a little bit about those best practices.
Well, it's in a nutshell, it's knowing how to pivot, how to adapt. And it's really, business is Darwinistic. It really is the survival of the fittest. You have to know, when the technology changes, to change with it, when the economy changes, when the, powers that be change. You have to just see it in advance and know what plan of action to take.
So what I hear you saying to those that are listening to us is that you have to stay prepared, right? So you have to be ready, right? So you don't have to get ready. So when things are changing, and I tell my small businesses when I am helping them to start and to grow, that they have to pay attention to their market, right? So analyze the market, see what's going on in the market, follow the trends. This is your area of expertise. So if you're not paying attention to what's changing and what's doing and what's not doing, then you're not going to be successful in this business, right? So in the space of technology changes all the time, right? So you have to be ahead of what that technology is. So, we talked about some of the websites that were created in the 90s are not the same websites that you're looking at now. And so if you have a website from the 90s and you haven't upgraded it, I don't think you're doing much business on your website, right? So those are one of the things that you talk about. I mean, and other technology exists as well. There's so many things now that can help our business. Actually, they can run their business in their sleep, right? With their websites. They can literally have their websites, they can have their YouTube channels, they can have TikTok, all of these other things that are working in different areas across the world and different time zones, making money for them because of the aesthetics, because of the way it looks, because of it being user friendly, because you're able to purchase things online.
Right.
And so, yeah, you have to pay attention to those things. So preparation is one, following your market, understanding your market, right? I used to tell my small business, if you are marketing to everybody, you're not marketing to anybody. So not everyone is going to be your customer, and understanding the market will help you understand that. So now you're ready, you're following the trends, you understand when things are changing, and when it's time to let go, you let go and you move on to something else. So now you're in this space. What's next? What are some of the best practices that you are able to impart on those that are listening to us today?
Don't do it alone. Don't do it alone.
Don't do it alone.
You can't. I mean, if you're not a marketer, don't go there.
So in other words,
get a copy of Canva while you're starting,
right? Find the expert, right? And there's so many ways that you can find the expert, right? Small Business Services has tons of resources available. Your taxpayer dollars are paying for them. So go into SBA.gov and find a marketing plan. Find someone that can help you through that. Go to SCORE, which is the service, the senior service executives. They were executives before they retired, and now they're able to come and volunteer and help small businesses, and they can talk from their experience. And here in New York, they have Small Business Services. In Florida, they have Small Business Services under the city. And those are other places that you can go and get help. But YouTube University and AI have changed the game. So those are all other ways that you can find out how to market your business, how to grow your business, what's trending. So reading The Economist, reading, your local newspapers, finding out what people are buying, what people are selling, because if they don't make dollars, it's not making sense if you're running a business. So understanding that. Yeah. So if you're not a marketer, get someone that is, right? If you're not an accountant, get someone that is. And even if you are an accountant, I don't think you should be doing your own books. You should definitely have a second eye to kind of look at what you're doing. The same thing with a lawyer. So those are all major things that we need. Know your back office, know what your business is doing. Be clear on how your business is supposed to operate, right? I have a lot of businesses that are the chief cook, bottle washers, and candlestick makers. And so when you say don't do it on your own, those are the kind of relationships that I'm talking about, because if you do, you're going to burn out. And you're no longer going to want to do the business. Had a person that had a cookie business. She wanted to start her own business because she wanted the freedom of that. But when she had to order the supplies, wait on the tables, make the cookies, clean the rooms. She no longer wanted to be in business. But
Mhm.
taking a page from Anna Red, don't do it all. There
Mhm.
is technology, there's help, there's assistance.
Mhm.
What else can you tell our listening audience
Well,
about best practices?
think about Richard Branson. I mean, you might like him, you might not like him, but he's undeniably one of the most successful business people in the world.
Mhm.
All right.
Absolutely.
And he never even finished high school. So
Right.
you don't have to have an MBA. You don't have to be anything fancy. All you have to do is you need to have a great idea. And then you have to get out and find people who can do it for you, you know?
Or who can
Um,
support it?
Right,
Who can
right.
support it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that would be, I mean, read his books and learn from somebody who, he has the idea. He has the idea of a spaceship. He doesn't know anything about spaceships.
Right.
He has to find the people to do it,
That's right.
or the airline. And he started with records, for
That's
goodness
right.
sake,
That's right. You know, one of my personal favorite is Warren Buffett, right?
Yes.
So
Mhm.
listening to his story, reading his books, and I dare say I'm going to meet and sit down and have a conversation with Warren Buffett. I'm putting it out there in the
Oh,
atmosphere.
please invite
It's
me.
gonna happen.
Please invite me. I'm a fan as
It's
well.
gonna happen because he is one of my favorites. Like I look at him, I listen to him, I understand the humble beginnings and being able to do what he does despite not having X, Y, and Z, So he really motivates me, right? So you're absolutely right. You don't have to know it all, you don't have to be it all. But you do have to have an idea. And everything, one of my favorite books, Think and Grow Rich, it says
Oh, yeah.
riches starts from an idea, right? So you
Absolutely.
have this idea, and this idea will lead you to those that can help you with it. I think it was Henry Ford. They didn't know anything about building any cars, but he surrounded himself with folks that knew how to
Right.
build cars. He had an idea of how he wanted the Model T to look,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
But and how the engine was supposed to be, but he wasn't doing it on his own. And
Uh-huh.
even when he was challenged as being an ignorant pacifist, and he took them to court for defaming him, and he said one of the smartest things I've ever heard. He was like, "Listen, I don't have to clutter my brain with all this, all these things that you're asking me to prove my intelligence when I can push a button on my desk and get anyone that I need to do anything I want them to do."
Right.
Basically.
Right.
And I'm like, bingo. So that right there is that, right? So,
Mhm.
and I would dare say, don't be afraid to delegate, right?
No,
That's
no,
the other
no.
part of it. Some of us will get in our business and we don't want to delegate. Don't be afraid to share your ideas, right?
Mhm.
But make sure you're sharing your ideas with like-minded individuals that are able to help and support you. Because I know another one of my favorite books says, tell people what you want to do, but first show them.
Mhm.
First show them. So do it first, right? And then you tell them about it once it's in the making, right? So
Right.
I'm encouraging all the small businesses that are listening to us today to understand, like Anna said, like go do it, right? Get help along the way. There's tons of resources that's available. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I'm going to add that because a lot of us are. So don't be afraid to ask for help.
And I'm
Um,
one of the people that can help you.
yeah,
I'm a coach. That's what coaches are for.
yeah, yeah,
We help you get there.
absolutely. And so, I want to thank you for that. So, what are some of the other best practices? And then I want to move on to some of the big ideas that are
Mhm.
around what you're doing as a coach, as a former educator, because once you're an educator, you're always an educator. So there's no
Oh,
format
yeah.
in that, right? So
Mhm.
as a coach, what are some of the big ideas that you want to share? Are there any other best practices that you utilize to kind of help people get in that next direction? Because it's so
Mhm.
important for those that are listening to us today to understand wherever you are, we're coming to where you are, we're meeting you where you at, right?
Mhm.
And then we're encouraging you to take it to the next level based on where you want to be,
Right.
because the people without vision will perish, right?
Mhm.
And so want people to understand that worse than being blind is not having a vision at all, right? So if
Mhm.
you have the vision to see, then we want you to see, right? And then we want you to engage those of us that are able to coach you and get you to that next level. So talk to me about a few more best practices, and then I want to move on to some big ideas, because there's some great things that you've already done, right? And I want to share them with the listening audience, and then I want to end with solutions, because it's not about the doom and gloom. I want them to understand that, just like Anna is able to go from being an educator and never go from being an educator, really, right? From being a teacher to now coaching, and then everything along the way, being a web designer and starting business and setting up home office and all of these other wonderful, magnificent things you were able to do along the way. And then creating these little geniuses, that you were able to pack up in your car and take them to college and start their careers. And now they're doing some amazing things across the world. And tell us a little more about some of those best practices. One, I want you to share, and particularly, is that idea of just seeing people for who they are and then actually helping them to get to that next level. You said find people that can help you, but you are able to help those young people to kind of realize their vision. And then you took the next step. You saw past what they can see, and you brought them into spaces that can educate them more, that can give them that exposure, that can train them in the way that they needed to go. And then when they were able to take off and fly, you were able to support and encourage that along the way. And so I want to talk a little bit about how you were able to wrap all of that up and being who you are, because you're being so modest, and that's okay. I'll let you be.
Well, I mean, I didn't learn it at school. I didn't learn it at home. It was just something intuitive. I'm an intuitive, and I pick up on what people are about, where they're vibrating, and it's like, okay, where do you want to go? Let's take the journey together. I'm not afraid.
Right.
I'm not afraid. And one of the most important things is to never be afraid of failure.
Right. And that is one of the most important things, because the thing you learn from failure is not to do it that way again.
Right. But I think that your friend Buffett even says, he won't even talk to somebody who hasn't failed at business 3 times.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's true, because it means that you haven't really taken a risk. You haven't really put skin in the game, right? You haven't really gave it your all, because you're not gonna fail unless you gave it something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then one of my other Ford said, it's like, you failed so many times at doing this. And even Edison, you failed so many times. I just learned how to do it better. Like, those are ways I knew not to do it again. Like, failure for me is an opportunity to do it another way. And this is what all the greats talk about, right?
Even Michael Jordan.
Yeah, same thing. Like, it's just like, I just kept practicing, and it just became so intuitive to me, so I could just do this thing, right?
You're gonna get a lot of missed hoops.
Yeah. And they were like, yeah, but those don't count. You don't even think about them. You think about the 3-pointers that he won the game with, right? But that's the thing.
But I bet he hasn't forgot one of them.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
We're also our biggest critic, right? We don't forget those things.
People
will look at us and say, "Oh my God, Anna, you're amazing. You've done all these great things." And you're like, "Yeah, I had this ugly website." You're like, "Well, think about that website."
Well, that's the thing. That people think that it's easy. And I guess I make it look easy because I don't go crying about my problems. But it's not. It's not easy. It's not easy.
It's not easy, but it's doable.
But it's work.
It is work. And that's why it's called work. It's called work for that reason, right? It's not easy.
That's right.
It is doable. It's called work because it is work, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's very rewarding.
And it's very rewarding. And guess what? It's okay not to be okay. So if something isn't working, don't be afraid to be like, all right, next. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times, and I have this conversation with business owners all the time. Oh, I just didn't want to give up. You didn't give up. Right. It wasn't the thing for you to do. This is a different, this is something else you needed to do. I even ran into a young man the other day. His story was super amazing. And it was time for him to move on to something else. And he was just like, I just had to keep holding on. I was like, why? Do you see now how that wasn't the best idea? He was like, yeah, but I couldn't see it then. I said, but from that experience, what you will learn is sometimes you let go. Yeah. Sometimes it's time to let go. And that's all right too, right?
Right.
So, one thing about life, it's going to life. life will continue to life, you know. So life
Mhm.
is lifing. We understand what it's worth. Had a conversation with one of my young people the other day, and she was explaining to me, she's like, Professor, I need a mental health day, right?
Mhm.
And it's real. And her feelings are valid. And I told her that. I said, listen, your feelings are valid, and it's okay not to be okay. And what I need you to do is to do these things to get to the place where you're not feeling overwhelmed. And she was like, shocked. She was like, wait, what? I was like, no, it's okay. Like life is life and we get it. What you're not going to do though is give up and say, I'm not going to finish my degree. That's not a part of this, right? So
Right,
what you are going to do is step back and do some time management and do some, some stress release. And you're going to get past this period and you're going to come back and you're going to come back stronger and you're going to finish strong. And she was
Mhm.
just like, whoa.
Yeah. And that's actually a best practice that I'd like to add right now is that self-care is crucial.
Yeah,
You have to turn it off.
that's right.
You have to turn off whatever it is that you're the entrepreneur hat, you have to take it off.
Right,
And you just have to be a human. You need to have the most important thing in life is love and your relationships
right.
and your friendships. Even if you're not, even if you're single, it doesn't matter. Single, married, um, just have people have meaningful relationships in your life.
Right. And when you said self-care, right? Because I wrote a book, Peaceful Ponderings, Busy Woman's Guide
Hmm.
to Inner Peace. And it talks about self-care. It talks about, and I co-wrote a book with Reverend Dr. Susan Johnson Cook as well, talking about rhythms. And one of the things that I say is that, and you hear it all the time when you're on a plane, but we forget it in life. You have to put your oxygen mask on first.
Hmm.
Because if you don't, you can't save anybody.
Hmm.
You have to save yourself first and get to a place where you are healthy enough to be able to take on all those other things that we take on as women. And we take them all on. We take on the church, we take on the school, we take on our jobs, we take on our family, we take on our children, we take on our parents, we're taking it on. But you cannot pour from an empty cup.
Hmm.
So self-care is extremely important. And I talk about that. I even talked about it yesterday when I did a training with the foster care professionals about time management. I also talked about self-care.
Hmm.
And self-care is not selfish care. It
Yeah.
is extreme care. It's important care. And it must be done in order for you to be able to pour from a full cup so
Hmm.
that everyone benefits from your self-care. And
Right.
no is a complete answer. And you don't need an explanation.
Right. Right.
You don't have to explain why no is no.
But it doesn't have to be something lavish. I mean, it can just mean a good night's sleep, a nutritious meal.
A foot rub.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's nice if you can do
Easy. Something
spa and all
easy.
that.
Nothing big, right?
It's not,
Nothing
yeah.
big.
It's
Nothing
nice if you can
big.
do the spa and get
Meditation,
that.
journal.
Yeah.
I have my students do a slam book. Like if life is life in and you just can't get it out of your head, write it down. Ball
Right.
it up, throw it away, burn it up, shred it. And they're like, whoa, that's release.
Yes. Yes.
Small
And
thing.
actually, that's what my second book is about. It's about journaling.
Yay! So our
Yeah.
energies are meshing here. We're
Yes,
actually
absolutely.
on the same page.
Absolutely.
So
You
now let's talk
mentioned,
about, I want you to talk, because I know we only have it amazes me when I look at this. I'm like, how is it almost over? I want
uh,
you to talk about some big ideas. And then I want to end with some solutions for those individuals that are looking to do what you've already done. And they're just not sure if they should step out on faith. And they're listening to us today. I want us to give them a few big ideas that kind of helped you get to that space that you're in right now, where you are giving yourself self-care. That's a big idea for some people. They're like, oh no, I can't possibly go to the gym because this one needs me, that one needs me. What do you mean I need to drink a gallon of water a day? Oh, I can't possibly do that because then I have to drive this one and that one and other. Always something, right?
mhm.
But what's a big idea? Like, how do you get to that space of being able to give yourself self-care, get a good night's sleep, have a good healthy meal, have some great time with friends, laugh a little.
Mhm.
There's a novel one, laugh.
Right.
Not be robotic about what you do. Be intentional.
Right, right. Absolutely. Well, I would recommend to just start with one small change.
Yeah.
you
One
know.
small change.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing that in where I live right now, every Sunday we have a Sunday sunset club.
Nice,
So
nice,
every Sunday we go to an outdoor place that has live music and we watch the sunset.
nice.
And we talk about everything that is going on in our heads other than work, you know. No work talk is allowed. We just talk about ourselves and we catch up,
Nice, nice.
you know? And
So
it's
find a
little
community of people that are on the same page
things.
and do something that releases some of the stress, right?
Yes.
So whether that is going every Sunday to some space or even jumping on, I remember when COVID happened, we used to get on Zoom. We used
Mhm.
to have, a happy hour, but it was more like a mocktail than a cocktail because we would all be on
Yes.
another page if we were having cocktails every time we got on. We would just get on and have girl talk and have fun. We one group used to do the Zoom. We used to get in the Zoom room. Meet me in the Zoom room.
Yeah.
Used to go in and just laugh it up and just chuckle it up and just tell people what you're doing and how you're doing it, how you're coping.
Yeah.
Celebrate each other, right?
Mhm.
And it was like real. We were looking forward to it. When we going back to the Zoom room?
Yeah. I still have my Friday night Zoom with my old high school friends. We
Wow,
started during the pandemic and it's still going on.
that's
And I
what's up.
host it
See, that's a
every
big
Friday
idea.
at 8 o'clock.
That's a big idea. That's a
Yeah.
big idea. Like having the audacity to do that, right? To be okay. Now I got a standing appointment at 8 o'clock every Friday. Here's what I'm doing, right? So
Right.
that's a big idea, right? So what else are we doing to kind of make sure that the NRED is okay? You have
Mhm.
you're coaching, right? And the one thing about coaching is nothing is in black and white, right?
Mhm.
There is always opportunity to do more, to be more, to see more, to direct more, to engage more, always, right? Some clients are a lot of work, some clients are less work, some clients um, have a vision. Some clients are not sure of their vision yet. But what you're able to do is really to structure them in a way that they're able to realize whatever it is that they're doing as a coach.
Mhm.
And so it's just like a canvas, an art, canvas. You're just really painting that picture um, with all the colors that they choose in their life to have on that
Mhm.
canvas.
That's beautifully said.
So now, we're at this place, unfortunately, we're almost at the end of this, but
Oh.
I have to let you share some solutions, right? So here you are, you're in this space, you're a coach, you're an educator always, you're a teacher, you're a trainer, you are a community leader, what are some solutions that you would like to share at this space? And even if you could tell your younger self, hey, younger you, here are some things that I want you to think about as you get older and as you enjoy your journey, first of all. And that's the whole thing. That's one thing I always tell my team. I tell my clients, enjoy the journey. Sometimes we get so caught up in the task that we forget to enjoy the journey. So when I tell them that, they're like, what? Let me tell you, I go roll in the grass with my 5-year-old. Like, we throw water at each other. Like, we
Right.
have a ball, and people are like, what are you doing? I said, I'm enjoying him. He's
Yeah.
a kid. Do you remember what that was? No, I can't remember that far back. Well, that's the problem. Come join us.
Right. Right. See, that's what I like about you. You're an extremely accomplished person, but you're fun.
Thank
And
you.
you know what? I don't want to do anything that isn't fun anymore.
Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love
And
that.
we can do hard things.
We can.
We can
And we've done
tackle
hard things.
difficult things. That's
And
okay. But let's have fun anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And that's the solution to a lot of things, right? Enjoying
Absolutely.
life, enjoying the
Lighten up.
experiences,
Mhm.
enjoying the journey. And you're right, lighten up is usually in a lot of these situations, and I always tell them, I always remind whoever I'm talking to, this too shall pass. Tomorrow's going to be a whole nother situation. You think this is the end, but it really isn't. And they go, they talk to me a week later. I said, what about that? They was like, oh, I forgot all about that. I'm like, right. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, this is one of the solutions that I like. You know, have fun. Have
Yeah.
fun,
Have fun.
enjoy the journey. Don't be afraid to ask for what you need. Don't be afraid to get a coach, right? I say don't be afraid to get a therapist. I have a standing appointment at 9 a.m. on
Good.
Fridays where I'm talking
Good.
to my therapist. And I say to anyone, mental health is real, right? And I also
Yeah.
say, listen, you know, I come from the South where they would always say, oh, you know, you're not supposed to talk about that. Oh, yeah, I say talk about it. And I say, if you need to go and get some professional help, go get the professional help. Yeah, I believe in leaving it in the hand of God, but I also believe if you need a pill, take a pill. I
Mhm.
believe that if you need a class, take a class, right?
Right.
Because these are all the things that are going to make you whole and complete and feel in a
Mhm.
space that you actually can have fun. So I want to thank
Absolutely.
you so much. And I'm
Oh,
going to give
thank
you
you. And I
the
have
last
something
word.
for
Give me the
your
last word as we
I
close.
have something for your viewers. If they go to thesecretartofsales.com,
Yes.
they'll be able to download a free sales guide on
Thank
how to deal
you.
with objections. And with that, they'll be able to contact me. They'll have all the information on how to contact me.
Thank
So
you. Thank you.
thesecretartofsales.com.
secretartistsales.com. So leave my listening audience with one more thing. If there's anything that you can say that encourage, inspire, and help them have fun and enjoy their journey, what is it?
Just follow your dream.
Ah,
Close your
follow.
eyes, put your hand over your heart, and follow.
Love it. Anna, I love it. Thank you so much for being a part of the Coaxum Report. And
Thank
I look
you.
forward to actually meeting you in person. I'm going to go
Yes.
to the website, download my copy. And so we'll be able to have some more conversation together. You take
Oh,
care.
I
You
would
have
love
a
that.
super amazing day on purpose. And
Thank
thank you for being part of
you.
the Coaxum Report.
Okay, please
Later.
invite me again.
I
Bye.
will. Take care. Bye-bye.